save in this place? The gray strand on which I stood was a narrow strip following the foot of the wall. Behind me lay a vast, unmoving ocean banked over with an all-concealing mist. Not a ripple stirred along that weird beach, or a ray changed the fixed gray twilight. And I was afraid, for my danger was not of the common dangers of mankind, but that which freezes the blood of man when he draws near the supernatural, the ancient fear. I stood there, while sweat poured painfully from me, and fronted my enemy who pressed me hard. The Thing was at the breach, couched in the great cleft that split the barrier, darkness within darkness. Unseen, I felt the glare of Its hate beat upon me. From it emanated deathly cold, like the nearness of an iceberg in the night, with an odor of damp and mold. "Puny earth dweller, lost here," Its menace breathed, "what keeps you from destruction? For you the circle has not been traced nor the pentagram fixed. For you no law has been thrust down. Trespass is death. Die then." Only my will held It from me, and I felt that will reel in sickened bewilderment. I had no strength to answer, only the steadfast instinct to oppose. The Thing did not pass. There in the breach It ravened for me, thrust Itself toward me, pressed against the thin veil of separation between us. I saw nothing, yet knew where It raised Itself, gigantic in formlessness more dreadful than any shape. Its whispered threats broke against me like an evil surf. "Man, the prey is mine. Would you challenge me? The woman is mine by the pact of centuries. Save yourself. Escape." The woman? Startled wonder filled me. Was I, then, fighting for Desire Michell? Out of the air I was answered as if her voice had spoken. Certainty came to grip me as if with her small hands. She had no help but in me. If I fell, she fell. If I stood firm. Exultant resolve flared strong and high within me. My will to protect leaped forward. The Thing shrank. It dwindled back through the gap in the barrier. But as it fled, a last venomous message drifted to me. "Again and again! Tire but once, pygmy!" I was sitting up in bed in my lighted room, my fingers clutching the chain of the lamp beside me. Was some dark bulk just fading from beyond my window? Or was I still dreaming? I was trembling with cold, drenched as with water so that my relaxing hand made a wet mark on the table beneath the lamp. This much might have been caused by nightmare. But what sane man had nightmares like these? When I was able, I rose, changed to dry garments, and wrapped myself in a heavy bathrobe. There was an electric coffee service in my room, kept for occasions when I worked late into the night. I made strong, black coffee now and drank it as near boiling as practicable. Presently the blood again moved warmly in my veins. Then I knew that the chill in the room was not a delusion of my chilled body. I was warm, yet the air around me remained moist and cold, unlike a summer night. It seemed air strangely thickened and soiled, as pure water may be muddied by the passage of some unclean body. In this atmosphere persisted a fetid smell of mold and decay, warring with the homely scent of coffee and the fragrance of the pomander beneath my pillow. I was more shaken, more exhausted by this encounter with the unknown than by either of my former experiences, a fact which drove home the grim farewell of my enemy. "Tire but once, pygmy!" Desire herself had foretold that the dark thing would wear me down. Well, perhaps, but not without fighting for its victory. At least I would be no supine victim. Already I had forced my way. Where? Where was that barrier before which I had stood? Awe sank coldly through me at memory of that colossal land where I was pygmy indeed, an insolent human intruder upon the unhuman. What other shapes of dread stalked and watched beyond that titanic wall? By what swollen conceit could I hope to win against them? I would not consider escape by flight, even if the end had been certain destruction. But my head sank to my hands beneath the weight of a profound depression and discouragement. It was the hour before dawn, traditionally the worst for man. The hour superstition sets apart for its own, when the life flame burns lowest. At a distance a dog had treed some little wood creature and bayed monotonously. There was a weakness at the core of my strength. I waged this combat for the sake of Desire Michell. But what was she to whom the thing laid claim by the pact of centuries? Darkness began to tinge with light. Pale gray filtered into the dusk with grudging slowness. As day approached, I saw that a fog enfolded the house in vapor, stealing into the room in coils and swirls like thin smoke. The lamps looked sickly and dim. I forced away my languor, rose and walked to the nearest window. Something was moving up the slope from the lake, a dim shape about which the fog clung in steamy billows. My shaken nerves thrilled unpleasantly. What stirred at this empty hour? What should loom so tall? A moment later, the figure was near enough to be distinguished as Ethan Vere, bearing several long fishing rods over his shoulder. "Vere!" I hailed him, with mingled relief and utter disgust with myself. "Anything going on so early?" He looked up at me, I never saw Vere startled, and came on to stop beneath the window. Taking off his cap, he ran his fingers through his black curls, pushing their wetness from his forehead. I noticed how the mists painted him with a spectral pallor. "Good morning, Mr. Locke," he greeted me. "Just as I've been thinking, there are some big snapping turtles about the lake and creek. I guess there'd be some war between them and me before that water was safe for use. One of the fellows dragged a duck under, drowned it, and started feeding right before my eyes just now." "We'll have to get a canoe." He nodded placid assent. "That'll look pretty on the lake. Phillida will like it. But I guess I'll keep a homely old flat-bottomed punt out of sight round some corner for work. The other craft goes over too prompt for jobs like mine, and don't hold enough. I'm going to fetch my rifle, now. I'd admire to blow that duck-eater's ugly head off." "I'll get into some clothes and be right with you," I invited myself to the hunt. "I'd like to have you," he replied with his quaint politeness.